Our third presenter will be Thorsten Tonndorf, who's the Chief of Urban Planning in the city of Berlin, Germany. And he was a research assistant at the Institute of Urban Research, and then as a project manager for the community development consulting Arthur D. Little, and since 1993 is with the Senate Department of Urban Development in Berlin, and since 2004, head of the Division of Urban Development Planning.
Good morning. First of all, big thank you for everyone of the Ecocity team for organizing this great conference. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and share the experience of Berlin with the other cities and other towns. The city of Berlin has just approved a strategic document a few weeks ago about climate change, with a stressing on climate change adaptation plan. So I'm happy to present you here some of the contents of this actual strategy. Before presenting these aspects of the climate change adaptation, which focuses on aspects like density and on the relationship between mitigation and adaptation, I would like to present you some information about carbon reduction targets and the carbon reduction results. Well, but I would like to start with another strategic document, from my point of view, really important for Berlin. In the year 2008, the Berlin Senate approved an integrated strategy, a climate change strategy, which was a change in this strategy towards a broader approach. It is not anymore only mitigation and energy-saving policy, but the broader approach includes also successful green economy, the aspect of a green metropolis with a focus on open space and on livability, and a proactive climate change adaptation. This is also a very important political signal for Berlin to show that only integrated approaches will be successful in climate change and coping with climate change challenges. We have to reflect the economic implications of climate change policies and, in Berlin, very important, the social dimension of climate change activities. So let's take a look at the CO2 emission targets and the CO2 reductions in Berlin. The reduction targets in relation to 1919 are 75% for the year 2010, 60% for the year 2020, 50% for 2030, and that's really very ambitious, 15% for the year 2050. And the results? Well, the first years were not too bad. The 25% reduction target for 2010 had been reached 5 years ahead of schedule. Just to give you a key number, 5.6 tons per year per inhabitant is what is Berlin consumption of carbon is. Some examples on how we achieved this reduction of carbon emission. There were huge investments in effectivizing transformation of energy. There was an extension of district heating and energy efficiency. And specific for Berlin, in the eastern part of Berlin, 400,000 coal-fired ovens existed, and now, today, they are nearly extinguished. Well, but very successful in Berlin, from my point of view, is a policy, the transportation policy, which is coordinated with urban development planning and land use planning. Just to give you some number, the modal split of public transport together with pedestrians, together with bicycle, is 69%. The car use is 31%. The bicycle traffic has increased by 50%, and the number of cars is decreasing since different years. So we had also an urban strategy of strengthening the inner city. The renaissance of the inner city can be shown by number. Since the year 2000, we had an increase of 50,000 inhabitants, many of them middle-class families with children. So when we look at the future to achieve further carbon reduction, the key is energy efficient retrofitting of the existing building stock. That is surely a big difference to Shanghai, that Berlin is a city with a demographic stable situation. We are not a boom town. We will have only a slight increase of the population. Therefore, our main focus is on the existing building stock. The new buildings and housing and so on are already by law, by legal law, and by the investors of a high quality in energy efficiency. And it's really a big goal to find solutions for energy savings in the existing stock. Let's take a look in the future. What will happen in the next 20 years going to the situation of climate change and adaptation things. The Berlin climate will change in the fact that we will have a Mediterranean climate. We will have dry, hot summers, wet and less cold winters, more extreme weather events, and what is really problematic for urban planning and for the city is the increase of urban heat islands. And we are asking ourselves if the urban structure is resilient enough. We have done an analysis which shows that till now the problem of urban heat islands is concentrated in the inner city, but in the year 2050 it will be also a problem in outer skirts. You know all these effects about not only livability but on health. So it is starting a discussion in Berlin about what should we do about this to react on this urban heat island effects. And we are discussing if brownfields redevelopment should orientate only on green uses, or to say it in a more general way, is the guiding principle of density still currently valid, or do we need a shift to a less density, or I dare not say, to an increase of urban sprawl? So how actual this discussion is in public discussion is also due to the fact that the urban development strategy concentrates on brownfields developments, on infill, inner city infill, and so on. And in any of these planning opportunities of brownfields redevelopment, public discussions say, okay, we only want green areas. Just one very famous example from Berlin is the reuse, the conversion of the former Tempelhof Airport, where population asks to leave it completely free, and planners say there must be a good mix with green areas in combination with other uses. So the climate change adaptation strategy gave a clear response on this question, and we have two answers on it. The first one, and that is an obvious answer, to respond on bioclimate, we have cooling solutions on a regional and local scale, which means we have to protect local aeration lanes and cold air generation zones. The Berlin concept is currently still valid. We have just a new strategy approved a few months ago. And the second one is quite surprising for us, that on a microscale level, the cooling solutions are even more efficient or more valid in the situation of Berlin. Just the different measures for single streets and buildings, like increasing the reflection of buildings, roof and facade greenings, courtyards screenings, twin plantings, and so on. All these measures combined will result in significant cooling effects. And the result of this discussion was, yes, Berlin will confirm his strategy of density, of urban concentration. Obviously, don't let me be misunderstood, with a strong component of green quality and of open space quality. Berlin, an action plan is a climate strategy is only really helpful if it follows Janice Perlman's motto, its planning is not enough, we need also the implementation. And the climate change adaptation strategy includes 12 action plans. I would like to show you two of the examples. One is quite low level, it's quite easy to realize. It's just the NGA, which was an action plan project called Green Courtyards to improve the local climate, and NGA consults homeowners and other initiatives regarding greening measures for courtyards, facades, and roofs. And I think it's a real good example with how with really low public funds, it is possible to get an impulse with a high efficiency. And the second action plan project I want to show is really a big one, a big project for Berlin. It's a retrofitting, energy efficient retrofitting of the Marxviertel with 30,000 apartments, where after realizing a biomass power plant, it will be a CO neutral estate, and it includes a very broad approach, consultation on energy savings for the private households, and a strategy for resilience to climate change, and what is even more important, of social stabilization. And so it's a joint approach of different actors, and what I would stress, this secret of this action plan project is a combination, the integrated approach of social dimension and of climate change dimension, and the combination of adaptation and of mitigation. So to show that the adaptation strategy is not a shrink away from mitigation, but it is a qualification of the mitigation strategies. So let me finish with lessons learned. The vision of the urban, compact, and mixed-use city can be sustained when intelligent approaches to cope with climate change are developed, especially using green strategies. And we have to look at climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation in combined strategy, including also social dimensions, and demonstrate that climate change adaptation and mitigation must not only be frightening and expensive, but can also result in better urban quality, for example, in increasing green spaces. Thank you very much.